and I wanted to try something new. And then I came across product design through some amazing people, some amazing brilliant people. And since then, I've been privileged to work with quite a couple of people. I currently work at Kuda, like they say, and I'm currently building Kuda business. I guess that's pretty much it. And yeah, nothing too serious, please. Do I go ahead with the topic immediately?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing my screen uh, with my slides just to help me along the way. I really, really hope I don't bore everybody, but please can you let me know you can see my screen?
Yes, we can. We can.
Okay, sorry. Hold on, please. Oh shit. Okay, yeah, sorry. So I don't know what's going on, but just please give me a few seconds. Yeah, okay. So I think I have it now. So um, yeah, you can see my screen now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so with Jupiter Academy today, I am going to be talking about how to start a career in UI UX design. Um, I'm pretty sure we have a brief idea. I'm sure we have brief ideas of what UI UX design is. I'm sure before coming here, quite a couple of people would have probably made like minute researches just to check what the whole noise about UI UX design is. But overall, I'll just try to give brief introductions and then pointers that could help guide along the way. So I'll start with introduction to UI UX, right? I have a definition here and I'm going to just read it out. So UI UX is like a vital important of digital design, right? Digital design, for instance, things like your Piggy Vest, your Kuda app application, your Rise Vest, websites, how you control things like, let's say, your your iWatch, your Android watch, basically various things, right? And this aspect of design, which is UI UX design, ensures both aesthetics and functionality in the sense that we have to make this thing look fine, we have to make it look beautiful to you, and at the same time, it has to be something you can easily use, whereby you don't need somebody beside you to come and explain to you, oh, this is how you do this, this is how you do that. Subconsciously, you just make it very, very functional to people. For instance, I don't think anybody was taught how to use WhatsApp. It's just intuitive. So basically, this session, I'm going to introduce concepts that is highlighting importance of UI UX design. Either you want to be a UI designer alone, a UX designer alone, or both. Moving on. So what is UI design? User UI design. I'm sure we know the full meaning, which is user interface design. Basically, it's a process where designers, like everybody here, want to be, where they build interfaces in software or computerized device. So software in the sense that you could, like an application, for instance. Again, I'll use very, very easy examples whereby we all are already using. So, for instance, a software application like PiggyVest, I'm sure we most likely all use, or even our banking application. I'm sure everybody here has at least one bank app on their phone. and then also computerized devices in the sense that, for instance, your laptop, your tab, your your what else? Your, again, like I said, your smart watches. Anyways, the point of designers like this is they focus on the look and feel of what it is, how the color is, how the typography is, how everything is structured to just give you a very, very impressive usage of the interface design. Moving to UX design. UX design in full term is a user experience design process, right? Um, the process of and or this aspect of this design is where the designers are concerned about creating meaningful products, creating relevant user experiences. I'll explain a bit. So by creating meaningful products, you have a problem. Let's say, how do I save money this month, or how do I save towards a particular target, or how do I transfer money from to pay for a particular thing I've just purchased. For instance, when we had this cash crunch problem where there was no money and everything, um, I'll bring to your knowledge, like, I think that was the period OPay and the likes of Money Point, they became very, very relevant. Why? There was a problem. What was the problem? We didn't really have cash. When you transfer money to people, there was difficulty in people receiving alerts. So many people were transferring. And then these people created a user experience whereby you can just easily transfer money to somebody and they get it immediately. They receive it immediately. That's like OPay, that's like Money Point. So the user experience designers for teams like that, they would have been concerned with how do we create something that gives meaningful experiences that solves this particular problem. These people, they get involved with this entire process. Let's say talking with stakeholders, talking with creating a user journey map, creating user flow and things like that. I will go deeper into those later on, but basically, these people, they are there from the start to the finish. Um, I would then try to split both, which is give you an idea what user designers focus on and what user experience designer, UI designer, sorry, focus on their fundamentals, and then user experience designers, what their process is like. So, first off, as a UI designer, if you decide to be a UI designer where you just want to work on the interface, you have to concern yourself with things like the principles of visual design, which is like the layout, the colors, the typography, because all these are things you bring together to create the interface. And for instance, why you have to be concerned about things like this is you have to design things like the buttons, things like the input field. For instance, you want to pay money where you input the 12,000 naira you want to pay for the your girlfriend's wedding, your girlfriend's birthday gift or something like that. You have to create color schemes whereby when people read it, for instance, you're looking at this screen now, it's in black laid with a text of white. It makes it easier for you to read it. So the choice of text and things like that. Anyways, moving on. Like I said, they create the user interfaces for different devices. That's like your web, your mobile. Again, I'll use examples because things are evolving and it's not just web and mobile. You create things for instance, your virtual reality, your smartwatches. There's so many things. You create interfaces for things like that. I'll give you an example. For instance, Tesla. Most people would think um, just engineers and things like that are what engineers, mechanic, and things like that that will work for Tesla. They have so much more people that work for them, and I can tell you for free, a UI designer is going to be part of a team like that, because you need to work on the interface of the screen where people can input their commands and control the car. There's so many things. Also wireframe, prototyping. Um, I'm sure we pretty much have ideas of what wireframes and prototyping is, but these are like part of the fundamentals a UI designer need to concern themselves with. So before I move on, I want to confirm if you guys are with me, if there's anything anybody wants to say for now, or I should just keep at it. Hello.
You can go on. You can go on, Emmanuel. We're with you.
Okay, all right. So
Yeah.
moving to UX design process. So for UX designers, like I said, their own concern is a bit more broader, and it doesn't necessarily have to just have them. They don't need to focus on UI elements and things like that. So they focus on things like research. They also get involved with designs. They also create. They also test. They do things like usability testing, whereby you need to know if this set of designs that have been created, if this works for the particular goal, for the particular problem you want to solve. They concern themselves with things like user journey mapping, which is like what happens from point A to point B. If I click on this button, what's the response? What's the command it gives to this product? They concern themselves with things like information architecture, the navigation design. Navigation design is still simple, close to what I said earlier. What happens from this point to the next point? Information architecture, it's a whole lot more broader, and and due to time, I don't think I will be able to go into that. Um, Still leveraging around key differences between UI design and UX design, how they stand separately. So, for instance, a UI designer, let's say you work in a company and they have a UI designer, they have a UX designer, and your focus is to be solely on UI design. So, your responsibility will be things like concentrating on the look and feel of the product. You'll be concerned with the visual elements, layout, color, typography, the graphics. You will be privileged to collaborate with graphic designers in the companies. So I'm visualizing a properly established company, not like a company that they just put, maybe they call a UI designer, UI UX designer a graphic designer, or they call a UI designer to do both. Don't get me wrong, it's not like you can't do UI design and UX design, because they work interchangeably, right? There's no way you do UI design without concerning yourself with some elements of UX design, and vice versa. But there are some companies that, again, they want maybe UI UX designer to also do graphic designs. But anyways, if you are not in a company like that and you are in a well-established company, you most definitely would collaborate with graphic designers of the companies. You collaborate with the front end developers. In some cases, you collaborate with the back end developers too, just so you know the possibilities of the visual design you're trying to create, you're trying to bring out. You also collaborate with marketers to know how the problem outside you're trying to solve is getting solved. Again, there's a broader explanation to all this, and I don't want to like overwhelm everybody with so many information. um there's also designing the actual interface that user interacts with. I think, again, I've made points on this, and I feel, I mean, we'll probably be gradually getting accustomed to these things. For UX designers, again, they concentrate on the overall user experience, the user journey map, information architecture, wireframes, flowcharts, prototypes, and they collaborate with fellow researchers, the UI designers, and the developers. Um, Occasionally, both parties collaborate with product managers, project managers. Again, this also depends on the environment you're working in. Um, so I'm sure this slide will be shared to everybody. So I went ahead to like put more key differences between them, so it helps understand the differences between both. So now, skills you need for a UI UX designer. Now, there are variations to this, right? Um, there are times where you can, these skills are in sections. There are soft skills, there are hard skills, and then they're like, what's this last one? Sorry, it's escaping my mind right now. But what I'm trying to explain with that is there are skills needed whereby you need to collaborate with various other people, right? These are most times things not, sorry, excuse me, not soft skills per se. I'm sorry, I can't really remember that for now, so go with it. I'll just go with all this to explain what I mean here. So now you need to concentrate on getting skills to becoming an interaction designer. This is under a UI designer. You need to learn visual designs. You need to learn the foundation of visual designs. You need to understand design softwares like Figma, Adobe XD, Sketch. There are so many out there, and with the way the world keeps evolving, there are new tools that keeps coming out, and you just need to know which particular line you want to go into, and the softwares that would help you achieve your goals better. You need to learn how to create information architecture. You need to learn how to get involved in user research and interpret user research results, because it helps you formulate and understand the problem you are trying to solve. You need to learn how to prototype, create wireframing, user flows, and mockups. And as a UI/UX designer, you need to have empathy. Empathy is a very, 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 very important thing when it comes to being a UI/UX designer. No matter the field you go along with, if it's UI designer, if it's UX designer, no matter the one you go with, you have to be very, very empathetic, because you have to learn how to immerse yourself in the problem you're trying to solve, so you understand the problem properly and you'll be able to solve the problem for them. So for instance, things you will be working on are things that are not necessarily solving a problem for you. It might not be the product you're building might not be something you need. It doesn't mean you won't then try to learn how to solve the problem the product is trying to solve. Again, problem solving, agile. Agile is mostly the methodology most organizations use now. You need to understand agile methodology so you will be able to collaborate with others and work properly, and you would not be overwhelmed. You don't necessarily need to know the full procedure, you just need to have an idea of what it is. Collaboration, again, this is very, very major. You have to learn to collaborate with various people. You will be working with humans, right? And there are different people from different backgrounds, from different fields. You could just be working, designing a screen one day, and somebody from, let's say, a growth team that doesn't necessarily have to apply to what is in your requirements for the company. They just reach out to you. Oh, we need this. We believe it helps the company grow, and you will see reason in it, and you will just have to collaborate with them. So there's so much diversity when it comes to collaboration as a UI UX designer. Um, You also need to be able to communicate and present, because most times you could present what you have come up with to the stakeholders of the company. You have to be able to explain, oh, I created these screens, these onboarding screens, because I feel this in so steps or so clicks, it helps users get to their endpoint faster and better. You have to be able to pitch things like this to your stakeholders and even your colleagues. There's also prioritization and time management. This is very key. You have to know how to solve things fast. You have to know how to do things pretty fast, because most times the environment you are in as a UI UX designer, it can be it can be pretty fast paced, right? And you won't want to be caught blocking off other people from achieving their own goals. So let me explain that a bit. So as a product design, as a UI UX designer, sorry, you could be required to make research to solve a particular thing, and after the research, you could be required to then create the screens for that particular thing. From there on out, you have to hand it off to, let's say, your front end developer or your mobile app developer, right? And in most cases, it is until you are done that those people can actually then start. You won't want a situation whereby in your morning stand-ups or something, they are asking you for updates and you're still trying to figure something out, whereby it's something you could have probably figured out as at 2 days ago or 3 days ago. So prioritization and time management is also very key. Um, as a UI UX designer, what are tools we need? We need things like Figma, Sketch, Adobe XD, InVision. I try to limit the list of tools here because there are so many. There are so many, and most of these things can help you achieve the same thing. So, but they have variations. By achieving the same thing, for instance, what you can design on Figma, you can design on Sketch, you can design on XD, and even InVision. But there are things, there are features some of these tools have that the others don't have. For instance, there's a very high use of Figma because of its collaboration feature and so much more. At first, it started off as just because of that collaboration feature, which is on your Figma file, you can give access to other designers. You guys can work on the same screen at the same time, creating variations and improving time delivery. You can also collaborate with your developers with Figma, because there are instances whereby they can easily convert designs you've made and get code elements from Figma. There's so much more, and I wouldn't want to like overwhelm you with those. There are just various tools you can use, and most times it's best to have an idea or knowledge of a bit of the important ones. But for now, there's a very heavy usage of Figma, and I think this is a personal bias. I think Figma is here to stay for a very long time, because the numbers keeps growing. There's Whimsical and Balsamic for both UI designers and UX designers. So the world of a UI or UX designer is very vast, right? In most cases, there are no limitations. You can be required to do a whole lot more than you probably feel you have to do, in the sense that I'm not trying to say this to overwhelm you, but in the sense that so many of these things, they work hand in hand. And just knowing how to use, for instance, knowing how to use Figma can give you a very subtle idea of how to use tools like Whimsical and Balsamic without having to watch any tutorial video or something. You can just You just somewhat know how to use it, and they are necessities. So, for instance, your project manager can ask you to just whip up wireframes, and they should just be low fidelity wireframes. They don't need to be fancy. They don't need colors. They just need to see what happens here and there. And you just open up Whimsical. You can just create screens. Things like that happen, and it doesn't necessarily mean this will just be the UI designer or the UX designer alone. There's also user testing where you need to know, oh, we've worked on this particular product for this particular feature for the past 4 weeks. Now, how is it working out there? Uh, our research, our beliefs, our ideas, what we felt would solve this problem, what we developed to solve this problem, is it actually solving the problem? Are we creating revenue for the company with this problem we've tried to solve? You have to test it. You have to try to figure it out. Sometimes it could just be the user experience designer or researcher that does that. Sometimes it could be you. You could be the one to do it, because I'm sure as a UI designer, as a UX designer, you'll be curious. Oh, this thing I worked on, how is it actually faring out there, right? For instance, personally, I go to App Store almost every now and then to just look at Kuda business. What is our current rating? What are people saying? Things like that. There's also pen and paper. This might sound very, very silly, but again, sometimes you could need to do a quick sketch, and you just whip out a pen and paper. You've created like 3 4 screens. Oh, this is how it is, this is how it is. You visualized it, and then you convert it to high fidelity designs or high fidelity wireframes and things like that. There's so much more tools out there. There's so many things for prototyping. There's so many things for design. There's so many things for user research, and so much more. But you also have to keep learning to see all these things. For instance, there are no code tools out there now. By no code tools, I mean you can design, and at the same time you can implement your design without having to write any line of code. There are things like Webflow, Framer out there. But anyways, that's still a whole lot of different world. Um, so acts and insights. Here, I think before I say anything here, I would just like to let you know this will be on a very personal belief, things I feel would work, not what you have read here and there. So for me, how it started off for me was, the first point was interest. I genuinely liked the idea of UI designs, UX designs, uh, in a nutshell, product design. I genuinely love the idea of solving problems, creating something that people would use, and it helps them to go about their daily life in a better manner, in a faster manner, in an easier manner. So um, the interest was the beginning of it, and from there on out, I started making my research. I started reading here and there, and I noticed there's a whole lot of information out there, right? For that, I believe almost everybody will face that, and I think the best thing for you when you get to that stage is try to sieve out information, right? You don't necessarily need everything. Like, you don't necessarily need everything. You have to learn to sieve out information. You have to learn to select the important ones. And if you can't, that is when you then reach out to people. Now, when it comes to reaching out to people, I believe we have to be careful, right? There's so many people out there that would give an impression that, oh, I know this thing. And most times, what they do um, actually not is mostly not right. But I'm trying to be careful with my words here. But so many people give the impression that they actually know these things, but in the real sense of it, they really don't. So it's safe to say it's best to be careful asking for insight for people like that. you have to know that who you are reaching out to for help is willing to not necessarily hold your hands, but at least guide you in the right direction. So you know, oh, if I read this, I know I am going to get value for the time spent reading this. Not that it's going to make you more confused. So you have to try to at least get a mentor. I don't necessarily believe in the whole idea of mentor, but I'm using that phrase because most people are very, very comfortable with that phrase. But to me, it's just getting somebody that can at least guide you, and then you are ready to put in the effort to actually read, watch tutorial videos, learn, and get and practice on your own. Um, Another arc is, as you need to also define what exactly you want to do. Do you want to be a UI designer? Do you want to be a UX designer? Do you want to be a user researcher? Do you want to be a product designer? You need to make your findings about all this and all what they do, and then you pick. That helps you streamline your learning pattern, and you know the necessary steps you have to take, right? From there on, now once you've defined, I think it's also best to then look for people in that particular line you've picked that are good, that are actually doing well, and that you can see it. Not that they are saying they are doing well. You actually can see it. You see their works. You draw inspiration from there, and then you try to emulate their designs. You try to recreate their designs. You try to ask them questions. There are times you ask people questions, they won't answer you because most times they are busy. But there are also sometimes some people would answer you, right? When those people answer you, just appreciate their time and take value for what they do, and do the actual work they require you to do. What else? Another arc is, most times most people think it's just a jump from 0 to 100. It necessarily doesn't work that way, right? It's advisable for you to join communities, for you to volunteer, for you to join boot camps and things like that. That way, you get to see fellow people. So, for instance, this Jupiter Academy, I'm sure they probably have, I'm sure they have boot camps, I'm sure they have courses. When they teach you, your fellow students, you create a community with them whereby you then learn together and push each other and then get better together. um there's so much more, and I'm sure there probably will be questions. For now, I think that's all I can share for the time duration I have, and I would just like to push the mic back to the host if there are any questions.
All right. Thank you very much. Please, guys, let's keep the clapping emojis coming. Yes. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much, Emmanuel Afolabi. That was succinct, but a lot. It was valuable. I mean, not too much, but quality. Thanks so much. And yes, of course, there will be questions. I can tell. I speak on behalf of the participants that there are questions. Okay, but before we go into our questions, I would just like to show us something, right? So briefly before we go into the questions, and then we'll just wrap it all up. So I'll be sharing my screen right now. Um, okay, so we just let me know. Can we see my screen? Can we see my screen, guys?
No, not from my end.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can now.
Okay, all right, thank you. So after all that Afolabi Manuel has said, I'm sure there might be just somebody there saying or just asking him or herself. So what's next? Like, what will I do next? Where do I now get all of these things he has said? How do I get all of this? Where do I go? So this is me telling you that where you get all of this that Afolabi has said is for you to enroll right? How to get started is enrolling in a certified training institution. So when we say getting started in UI UX is, of course, it's a journey, and you start your journey by getting yourself enrolled in an institution that is certified, that has what you need, all right, that gives you access to training professionals, that has the understanding of these principles. They understand the rudiments of UI UX. They understand the game, and they can literally help you walk through that path. Not the kind of academy or institution that will make you embark on a trial and error journey. Of course, there'll be a couple of mistakes, one or two mistakes, but of course, it's not going to be like the order of the day where you be doing trial and error, right? I remember Emmanuel Afalabi mentioning something about mentorship. Of course, he used that word, but basically we're trying to talk about someone or people that can actually walk you through the path, that can help you walk through this path, I mean journey, right? And also cosmates, made mention of cosmates. And if there's anything I have really really appreciated in my own personal journey in career, it would be in my transition, it's going to be having people, having cosmates, having colleagues that we rub minds together, that at least we are in it together. So I know how it feels, they know how it feels, so I can relate with them. So ensure that whatever institution, at least the institution you're enrolling with, has they provide you with the opportunity to have cosmates, right? And also it's one that knows what is working now, knows what is in vogue. I mean, there are trends every day. We are evolving, so it's ensure it's an institution that knows what is working. They're not giving you the trend of what was happening last year in the tech, in the UI UX field, right? But something that is actually working now. And ultimately, the last but not the least, an institution or an academy that is certified, right? That gives you a certificate that is internationally recognized, because the world is evolving, like I said. We can't keep doing things locally. So ensure that certificate is internationally recognized, such that when you provide it, I mean, employers see it and it is well sellable for you. All right. Now, so you're thinking, what do I now go for? This is where Jupiter Academy comes in. This is where it comes in. So this is not even me selling right now to you, but because I know how important this is, I know how valuable it is, I know how important all of these things that Falabi Emmanuel has said, and because we are just passionate at Jupiter Academy about seeing that value is dispensed and that you get your right footing in your journey. And that is why I'm really recommending the Jupiter Academy UI UX mastery course, right? And what do you get to learn? What do you get to get when you enroll with Jupiter Academy? The first thing is you get an 8 weeks online intensive course. Please let me know if you can still hear me, guys. Can we still hear me? Hello. All right, awesome.
Yeah.
So all right, thank you very much. You get an 8 weeks online intensive course. Our courses are 100% virtual, 100% virtual. There is no physical class, right? So, and also plus a Saturday live classes, for now, Saturday live classes, right? So you get virtual classes during the week and the Saturday live classes, which is minimum 90 minutes per session, right? And ultimately, you get certificates that are recognized everywhere. Remember, I made mention of it the other time, that ensure that whatever institution you're enrolling with, I mean, has that is even very, very much important. And this is one of the things that Jupiter Academy is offering, a globally recognized certificate. Now, so if you enroll with us, what are the pertaining to this course that you'll be getting? I am more than glad that most of these things, speaker even made mention of them while he was talking about the tools and requirements, right, to embark on this journey. And so the number one thing is you're going to be you will have a strong understanding of the principles and practices of user interface, that's the UI and the user experience design. You will have a strong understanding of the principles, the rudiments. You would also learn how to design user-centered interfaces that are easy to use, visually appealing, and intuitive, right? You also get to create wireframe mockups, right? Prototypes, have an understanding of design tools, right? Tools that a couple of tools that our speaker already made mention today, and software used in the industry. You would get to have an understanding of user research and testing, all right, and testing, and how to incorporate feedback from users into the design. So it's not just about you doing something and give it to the customers. When they give feedback, you also get to incorporate these feedbacks in your subsequent designs. Additionally, you also get you'll be able to work collaboratively with other designers. I remember him also mentioning that at least you'll be able to work with graphic designers. Yes, I'm right. Graphic designers and other designers. So you get to learn how to collaboratively work with these people, right? You understand the product lifestyle and the importance of continuously improving the products, even as you develop and work on their production. Ultimately, you learn how to create products that meet the needs of the users, right? You gain life experience, you have a portfolio, right? You get mentored on how to pass an interview. So we don't just leave you at, oh, you've come, you've made payment, you've joined, we've schooled you, and that's all, right? You learn how to pass through an interview. We help you build a project for your portfolio. Now, for all of these things I have said, guys, everything I have said, and I think that Afolabi Mana also said, it is not for you. If number one, you were lazy, and I'm not even going to mince words right now. I mean, there is this popular saying that there is no food for the lazy man. So if you're lazy, this is probably not for you, because it takes hard work, it takes your will, it takes your time to want to do this. So if you're the lazy type, I'm sorry, this is not for you. And if it was the type that cannot follow instructions, I mean, when we were starting at the beginning of this webinar, I listed, I think, one or two instructions. Okay, mute your mic, this, that. So you you have to learn to follow instructions, and you have to be tired of where you are, want to do more, want to get more. Okay, so repeatedly again, all of these things I have said originally would value at 400,000 naira. They will value as 400,000 naira. But that's not even all. That's not all, because we have bonuses. We have bonuses. We have bonuses. And what are these bonuses? The first bonus is that you'll be getting certification, a globally recognized certification, mentorship, right? CV revamp, portfolio building, then internship placements at the end of the day. Originally, these things would go for 400,000, but right now, I'm not asking you to pay 400, not 250, not 150. Am I asking you to pay 100,000 naira? Okay, we'll see about that. Remember, these are the things you still get to learn, you still get to get from Jupiter Academy, right? But there is more. There is more outside all of these things that I've said. And the more is that currently Jupiter Academy is in partnership with an healthcare startup, Egu Health, that is giving a whooping 60% discount to students willing to enroll with us. Usually our courses each will go for 100,000 naira, but this 60% scholarship affords you to pay just 40,000 naira, right? But this promo is valid to the 23rd of this month, when the next quarter starts. So if you're willing and interested to embark to join Jupiter Academy to enroll with us, I'm going to be dropping a link soon. It's inquiry link, right? Just fill in your questions there, and would definitely get across to you. Also, we have a community. I remember Afolabi making mention of the fact that it is important to have a community, right? So we have a community on Slack where we share information, we grow. You don't have to be a member, of course. You could have enrolled, and even if you've not enrolled, you can also join the community. So I'll be dropping the link to that Slack community now as well. Feel free to fill the link and click on the link rather, and to take you up to join our Slack community. So this will be all, guys. Thank you very much. And so I'll be giving room for questions now. Questions for me pertaining to Jupiter Academy, then questions to our speaker for today based on what he has said. All right. So yeah, over to you guys. So question, let's just raise our hands. I can't find any question in the chat box, so I'll be picking us according to our hands. So okay, I think I can see a question. Okay, Afolabi, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I can see some questions in the chat box. Let me just read it before we give room for those that have their hands. Thank you, Sharon Fortress. So somebody said, can one do UI UX design with an Android phone, or must it be a laptop? That's the first question.
Okay. Well, truth is, I don't think you can design or practice, but you can learn. You can read, you can watch YouTube videos and all, but to design, to do the actual practice, you need to have a PC. And you don't necessarily need to have like a very, very strong PC. You don't need to have a very, very strong. You just need to have a PC that is at least at the very minimum 4 gig RAM, and I think you are good to go.
All right, thank you. I hope Mary Kenneth got that. That question was from you. Okay, so the next question says, when and how does a UI UX designer collaborate with web designer without having to interpret codes? When and how does a UI UX designer collaborate with web designer without having to interpret codes?
Uh, you are the web designer. As a UI designer, you are also you design for mobile, you design for web, you design for things like virtual reality, you design so many things. Except you mean web developer. If it's web developer, you would collaborate with the person once you're done, once you're handing off and they implement, and then you have to look at it if it's pixel perfect, if the implementation is pixel perfect like you designed it. Um, Again, that way you don't necessarily have to interpret codes. You are not interpreting any code. You're designing, you're handing off to them, they would implement, and then they will show you what they've implemented is how you have designed it. I hope that answers the question.
All right, I hope so too. Okay, the next question from the same person, Justice Oguna. What advice do you have for someone who is a total novice in the field of design but is interested in UI UX? What trajectory is best to start from?
Um, Sorry, excuse me. I didn't know I was on mute. So personally, like I said, um, first off, define what exactly it is you want to do. Do you want to be a UI designer? Do you want to be a UX designer? Do you want to be a researcher? Do you want to be a product designer? Like you need to channel to find out which exactly you want. Excuse me. From then on out, you can start with joining boot camps like Jupiter Academy. You can watch various tutorial videos on UI, learn from the basics, learn the fundamentals of design. You learn those, you read about those, you watch videos of those, and from there on out, gradually, bit by bit, you would start meeting. Since you are joining a boot camp, you will start meeting people that will be guiding your path, because those people in those boot camps would give you like a schedule or a time or a journey map of how you can study from this point to the next point and all that. Yeah.